What's up guys, and welcome to another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Character Profiles. This time we're doing Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 and we're doing Zarc. So then, in the English he's known as Zarc, in the Japanese it's pretty much the same. His age, well, as he's the original form of Yuya Sakaki, and Yuya was 14 years old at the time of the series, plus he looks a little bit older, just like Rei looks a little bit older than Yuzu, I would put him, I don't know, 16 years old. It's just speculation. His anime debut was in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, episode 126, An Evil Ascends. He only played one duel in the series, but in that one duel he managed to rack up 10 wins with only one loss. Not bad. Zarc is the original combined form of the main character Yuya and all of his counterparts from the different dimensions. Yuto from the Xyz dimension, Yugioh from the Synchro dimension, and Yuri from the Fusion dimension. Due to this, we can actually see his fragment's influence on his overall appearance. For example, Zarc's original hair colour consists of two different colours, silver as its main and green as accents. This matches all of his counterparts. Even though none of them actually share the same colour scheme as him, they do all have dual coloured hair schemes. His actual hair style resembles that of Yuri's the most, due to its central parting featuring two bangs that frame his face. Speaking of his face, it resembles, of course, all of the Yu-boys, but in particular it bears the closest resemblance to Yuya's, albeit being an older version of him. In fact, Yuya's mannerisms and general personality seems to be the most akin to Zarc's, what with his strong will to entertain a crowd and put a smile on their faces. Zarc is seen wearing a white and blue turbo-styled jacket very similar to that of Yugioh's very own turbo suit. So while his upper body's fashion is more akin to Yugioh, it's his lower half that comes from Yuto, as Zarc is seen wearing black jeans like Yuto, albeit yes, they are covered by chaps, which none of his incarnates wear. As well, Zarc wears a belt, just like Yuto. Though there are a lot of other things that can distinguish Zarc from his fragments, one unique feature to Zarc is his gold eyes, something that would return when he was revived as the final antagonist of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 anime. In his revived form, Zarc's body has been transformed to resemble his new ace monster, the Supreme King Dragon Zarc. Having thick grey, rough skin, wings that protrude from his back, and two horns jutting out from his hair, his overall appearance is demonic. Dragon-like, to be more precise. The reason for this form is because he has fused with his ace monster, Supreme King Zarc, which interestingly makes him look almost identical to that of other characters throughout Yu-Gi-Oh! Series who have also fused with their own ultimate dragons. For example, Marik fused with his winged dragon of Ra, Darts fused with his great Leviathan, and Paradox with his malefic Truth Dragon. Why is nobody fusing with anything that's not a dragon? Zarc's name itself draws inspiration from past Yu-Gi-Oh! Antagonists. For example, his name of Zarc is very similar to that of the Duel Monsters villain, Zorc. That's just a one-letter difference there, so close. However, the way that his name is written sometimes as Zarc is much more akin to Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's villain, Zone, whose name was written as Z1 or Zone, however you want to pronounce it. It's pronounced Zone, but you know. Going even further, his self-appointed title of Supreme King is a direct reference to Yu-Gi-Oh! GX's main character's evil alter ego, the Supreme King. One last reference to mention is to Darkness from the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime. If you didn't watch the sub, then you probably never saw the Darkness. He's basically Night Shroud. However, the Darkness played two trap cards as part of his deck, called Zero and Infinity. Zarc himself plays two pendulum monsters named Supreme King Gate Infinity and Supreme King Gate Zero. Zarc is a walking Easter egg. That's pretty cool. Personality-wise, after Zarc's transformation into the Supreme King Zarc, he begins to show an unhealthy deep level of pride in his own abilities, believing himself to be the one to rule over everything, as he is the pinnacle of existence. Despite this arrogance in his own strength, Zarc actually hates to lose, going as far as to even be afraid of the thought of losing itself. As seen when he was utterly unfazed at all the comments thrown at him during his battle royale. However, when Crow pointed out that Zarc could lose, he responded, irritated that he would never lose. He was also rattled when Sawatari was rinsing Zarc for playing so defensively, saying that Yugioh would have been much more bold in his strategy. However, it's worth noting that deep within Zarc, Yugioh had noticed something missing, something that had been locked away within Riley Akaba, and that thing was sadness. How about a bit of backstory on the character? Zarc was originally an aspiring pro duelist with a love for duel monsters. He wanted nothing more than to see the crowd smile when he dueled, much in the same way as Yugioh. However, his personality began to become corrupted, twisted into that of a psychopath. This change was a result of the spectators' demand for more brutal duels to satisfy their lust for violence. Zarc began to show pure rage in his duels, just like Yugioh, a desire to be at the absolute top like Yugioh, and displayed a sadistic taste for violence just like Yuri. The logical path for Zarc to satisfy the crowd's desire was simple: the utter decimation and destruction of everything. Though to achieve this, he would need to merge with his 4 signature dragons: Odd Eyes Dragon, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, Clearwing Synchro Dragon, and Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. He did this in order to become something even more powerful: the Supreme King Zarc. Eventually, after wreaking much havoc in the original dimension, he was confronted by Rei Akaba, who used 4 special cards to defeat and split Zarc, her own, and the world's souls into 4 fragments: Yuya Sakaki as the standard, Yuto as the Xyz, Yugioh as the synchro, and Yuri as the fusion. However, something else was also created at the moment of the dimensional split. Zarc's desire to become one again reacted to Rei's will to keep Zarc divided. These conflicting emotions swung back and forth and ended up creating pendulum summoning. And this is where the events of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 series would begin, following Zarc's influences over the U-Boys to once again reunite to finish his goal of satisfying the crowd. Zarc plays a Supreme King deck revolving around his ace monster, Supreme King Zarc. Its anime effect is broken, and here it is. He's a level 12 scale 1 monster with 4000 attack and 4000 defense. He is classed as a Dragon, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, Pendulum effect monster, must be special summoned with Astrograph Sorcerer, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If this card is special summoned, you can destroy as many cards your opponent controls as possible. Then, each player that had a monster destroyed by this effect takes damage equal to the total attack of the destroyed monster they had on the field. This card cannot attack the turn this effect is activated. While there are Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz monsters banished and or in any graveyard, this card cannot be destroyed, and it is also unaffected by card effects that would make it leave the field. All monsters you control are unaffected by the effects of your opponent's Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz monsters. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon up to 2 Supreme King Dragon monsters from your extra deck in defense position. If your opponent adds a card or cards to their hand, except during the draw phase, you can destroy that card. It also has an anime pendulum effect. You contribute 1 Supreme King monster, special summon this card from your pendulum zone, ignoring its summoning conditions. Woofed! That is a broken card. So looking at this monster's effect, we can see that with his ace, he is able to protect himself from every type of extra deck monster, as well as stop new cards from being added to the opponent's hand, effectively removing the ability to use action cards and any draw engines they may have as a part of their strategy. Zarc's effect also makes it one of the most difficult cards to remove from the field, since as long as there are Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz monsters in any graveyard or are banished, it cannot be taken off the field. Also, due to becoming one with Yugioh, he also gained the ability of pendulum summoning, utilizing his own cards, Supreme King Gate Infinity and Supreme King Gate Zero, to make himself immune to all types of damage, instead gaining life points instead. And ironically, Zarc plays Smile Universe in his deck, which, despite his merciless nature, This card actually reflects his previous desire to provide true joy to his audience, and is a final remnant of Yugioh's will. All of the cards included in his deck are the Effect Monsters Astrograph Sorcerer, Odd Eyes Dragon, the Pendulum Monsters Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, Supreme King Dragon Darkworm, Supreme King Dragon Odd Eyes, Supreme King Gate Infinity, and Supreme King Gate Zero. His fusion monsters consist of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, Supreme King Dragon Starving Venom, the Synchro Monsters Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, Supreme King Dragon Clear Wing, the Xyz Monsters Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion, as well as, of course, a little bit of everything, Supreme King Zarc. His spells consist of Smile Universe and Supreme Presence, and his traps consist of Supreme Disdain, Supreme Face Off, and Supreme Rage. And with that, guys, that's another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Character Profile done. Time to give a huge shout out to the Patreons who help make these videos possible. Also, big thank you to my gold Patreon backers, Light, J24092, CBCBCBCB, Barrett Jackson Daly, The Gengar King, Matthew Braithwaite, Chungming Zen, David Shanahan, and Jack Sisson. Thank you very much, guys, as well to everybody else that support me on Patreon. Thank you very much. But without further ado, thank you all for watching. Catch you later.